Welcome to Wonders of Israel, where history was carved in stone. In this journey, we'll explore a land where every stone tells a story, every ruin holds a secret, and every landscape echoes with the voices of ancient civilizations. From the sacred walls of Jerusalem to the desert fortresses of Masada, from mystical caves to timeless holy sites, Israel is a living museum of faith, struggle, and triumph. Join us as we uncover the treasures of this land, where history and spirituality intertwine, shaping a legacy that continues to inspire the world today. Israel is a land where the earth and sky seem to breathe with memory. It is a crossroads of civilizations, where empires rose and fell, where prophets walked, and where sacred stories were etched into the consciousness of humanity. What makes Israel extraordinary is not only its landscapes, the rolling deserts, the fertile valleys, the shores of the Mediterranean and the Dead Sea, but the stones themselves. Each block of weathered limestone, each ancient ruin, and each sacred monument tells a story. In Israel, history was literally carved in stone, and those stones remain as living witnesses to faith, struggle, and survival. This exploration takes us across Israel, from the iconic walls of Jerusalem to the silent deserts of Masada, from the mystical caves of Qumran to the Roman grandeur of Caesarea. These wonders are not simply relics. They are the foundation of much of the world's cultural and spiritual identity. To walk among them is to feel the weight of thousands of years pressing gently upon the present. Jerusalem, the eternal city of stone. Few places in the world command as much reverence and fascination as Jerusalem. For Jews, Christians, and Muslims, it is a holy city, an axis where heaven and earth touch. Its stones have been kissed by pilgrims, scarred by wars, and rebuilt countless times, yet they endure. At the heart of Jerusalem stands the Western Wall, the last remnant of the Second Temple destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. The massive stones, some weighing several tons, have stood for over 2 millennia. For Jews, this wall is the holiest accessible site, a place where prayers are slipped into the cracks of ancient rock, as though the stones themselves are messengers to heaven. Nearby rises the Dome of the Rock, its golden brilliance visible across the city. Built in the 7th century by the Umayyads, it sits atop the Temple Mount, a site sacred to all 3 Abrahamic faiths. Its interior, decorated with intricate mosaics, speaks not only to Islamic devotion, but also to the artistic heritage that flourished here. For Christians, Jerusalem holds the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, believed to be the site of Christ's crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. Its dimly lit chapels, the scent of incense, and the endless flow of pilgrims remind visitors that faith is not abstract. It is built, literally, into the stones of this city. Jerusalem is a mosaic of sacred architecture, and every stone in its old city walls bears the imprint of centuries of struggle and devotion. Masada, a fortress of defiance. High above the Judean desert, overlooking the Dead Sea, stands Masada, a massive rock plateau crowned by the ruins of a Herodian fortress. Built by King Herod the Great around 30 BCE, Masada was both a luxurious palace and an impenetrable refuge. Masada is remembered most for its tragic last stand. During the Jewish revolt against Rome, 66 to 73 CE, a group of rebels and their families fled to Masada after Jerusalem fell. For months, they withstood the Roman siege, watching as an enormous ramp was built to breach their walls. When the Romans finally stormed the fortress, they found silence. The defenders had chosen death over slavery. The story of Masada, preserved by the historian Josephus, has become a symbol of resilience and sacrifice. Today, visitors climb the Snake Path or take a cable car to stand among the ruins of Herod's palaces, storerooms, and baths. The stones are silent, but they echo a story of human courage that still resonates deeply in Israeli identity. Qumran and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Not far from Masada lies another wonder. Qumran, a settlement on the edge of the Dead Sea where, in 1947, Bedouin shepherds stumbled upon clay jars filled with ancient scrolls. These became known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, some of the most important archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The scrolls, dating from around 250 BCE to 70 CE, include biblical texts, sectarian writings, and hymns. They offer a window into the diversity of Jewish thought during the Second Temple period and illuminate the context from which Christianity emerged. The caves of Qumran, where the scrolls were hidden, are carved into limestone cliffs that stand stark against the desert. The community that once lived here, often associated with the Essenes, practiced strict ritual purity and awaited a coming messianic age. Their writings, preserved in stone jars, survived for 2,000 years, testimony to the endurance of belief even in the harshest environment. Caesarea, Rome by the sea. On the Mediterranean coast lies Caesarea Maritima, a city built by Herod the Great in honor of Caesar Augustus. Once a bustling hub of Roman administration and trade, it remains a striking reminder of the grandeur of empire. Caesarea boasted a deep-water harbor, aqueducts, temples, and an amphitheater. Its stones speak of engineering brilliance. Herod's harbor was constructed using hydraulic concrete, a marvel of its time. The city later became an important center of early Christianity. It was here that the scholar Origen established a great library, and where early church councils convened. Walking among the ruins today, one can still see the theater overlooking the sea, mosaics from Roman villas, and the remnants of Crusader fortifications. Caesarea embodies the blending of cultures, Jewish, Roman, Byzantine, and Crusader, each carving their story into the stones of the city. Megiddo, the Valley of Armageddon. If Jerusalem is the city of faith, then Megiddo is the city of prophecy. Situated at a strategic crossroads in northern Israel, Megiddo was fought over for millennia. Its layered ruins, called the Tell, reveal at least 20 different settlements stacked atop one another. In the book of Revelation, Megiddo gives its name to Armageddon, the place of the final battle between good and evil. The site's significance lies not only in prophecy, but also in its archaeological richness. Excavations have uncovered Canaanite temples, Israelite gates, and impressive water systems carved into stone. Megiddo's stones testify to humanity's unending cycle of conflict and renewal. They remind us that history is not static. It is carved, erased, and carved again. Acre, the Crusader city. On the northern coast lies Acre, Akko, a city where Crusaders, Muslims, and Ottomans left their mark. During the Crusades, Acre was a vital stronghold, the headquarters of the Knights Hospitaller, and a bustling port for pilgrims and warriors bound for the Holy Land. Beneath modern Acre, vast Crusader halls remain preserved. Walking through them feels like stepping back into the 12th century, with vaulted ceilings, narrow passageways, and underground tunnels. Later, during Ottoman rule, the city's fortifications resisted Napoleon himself, who failed to capture it in 1799. Acre's stones tell a tale of clashing empires, of knights and sultans, of resilience by the sea. It is a living reminder that Israel's history is not just biblical but global, connecting East and West through centuries of struggle and exchange. Nazareth and Galilee, stones of faith. No exploration of Israel would be complete without visiting the Galilee, the region where Jesus spent much of his life and ministry. Nazareth, once a small village, is now a city centered on the Basilica of the Annunciation, built over the traditional site where the angel Gabriel announced to Mary that she would bear the Messiah. The stones of Galilee are simple, rural, and intimate. Unlike the grandeur of Jerusalem or the might of Masada, The Galilee speaks of a faith born in humble surroundings. Fishermen on the Sea of Galilee, hillside sermons, and villages where miracles were said to occur. For Christians, these stones are sacred not because of their size or strength, but because of the quiet stories they hold. Stories of compassion, healing, and divine presence in the ordinary. The Negev and Nabatean cities. Far to the south stretches the Negev Desert, where the Nabateans, masters of trade, carved out cities along the incense route. Places like Avdat, Mamshit, and Shivta contain ruins of caravanserais, temples, and churches. These cities were way stations for traders carrying spices and incense from Arabia to the Mediterranean. The Nabateans, who also built Petra in modern Jordan, left behind stone structures that blend desert austerity with commercial ingenuity. Their ruins, now UNESCO World Heritage Sites, show how even in the most barren landscapes, human creativity could carve prosperity out of stone. The stones as living witnesses. Taken together, these sites, Jerusalem, Masada, Qumran, Caesarea, Megiddo, Acre, Galilee, and the Nabatean cities, form a tapestry of Israel's wonders. They reveal how history, faith, and culture are not abstract ideas, but physical realities inscribed into stone. The stones of Israel do more than preserve the past. They continue to shape identity and inspire meaning. For Jews, they are a reminder of resilience and return. For Christians, they are witnesses to the life and message of Jesus. For Muslims, they are sacred touchpoints in a broader spiritual landscape. For humanity as a whole, they are treasures of world heritage, linking us across time and culture. A legacy carved in stone. To walk in Israel is to walk in the footsteps of prophets, kings, rebels, and pilgrims. The stones of this land are not silent. They speak of faith and doubt, victory and loss, hope and endurance. They remind us that civilizations rise and fall, but the human search for meaning endures. More than any book, inscription, or archive, it is the stones of Israel that hold the legacy of humanity's restless pursuit of truth and survival. These stones are monuments not only to history, but to the spirit of those who lived, prayed, fought, and dreamed upon them. This essay explores Israel's enduring legacy carved in stone, from sacred sites to desert fortresses, from ancient ruins to living cities. Each place reveals a chapter in the ongoing story of a land where human struggles and divine aspirations intersect. Jerusalem, the heartbeat of stone. No city better symbolizes Israel's stone legacy than Jerusalem. The old city walls, rebuilt by Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century, surround a sacred center that has been fought over for millennia. Jerusalem is a tapestry woven from conquest and devotion, destruction and rebirth. The Western Wall, surviving remnant of the Second Temple, embodies Jewish continuity. Its stones are massive, some reaching over 40 feet in length, and yet they are more than engineering marvels. They are emotional anchors. Pilgrims press their foreheads to the wall, whispering prayers into its cracks, as though the stones themselves carry them upward. The resilience of these stones mirrors the resilience of the people who refuse to let memory fade. For Muslims, the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque rise upon the Temple Mount, their presence affirming centuries of Islamic devotion to the same sacred ground. The Golden Dome glitters above the limestone city, reminding all who see it that spiritual beauty too is carved in stone. Christians, meanwhile, find their sacred space at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where ancient stones are worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims retracing the path of Christ's passion. The mixture of incense, candlelight, and time itself imbues these stones with an atmosphere unlike any other on earth. Jerusalem, therefore, is not simply a city. It is a living dialogue of stones, a dialogue between faiths, between past and present, between the enduring and the ephemeral. Masada, stones of defiance. Rising dramatically above the Judean desert, the fortress of Masada represents the spirit of resistance. Built by King Herod as a palace and stronghold, Masada stones became the setting of one of history's most dramatic last stands. When Rome crushed the Jewish revolt in 70 CE, survivors fled to Masada. Surrounded by Roman legions, the defenders faced inevitable defeat. Yet when the walls were breached, the Romans found silence. According to Josephus, the defenders chose death over slavery. Walking today among the stone walls, storerooms, and bathhouses, one feels both awe and sorrow. The stones seem to whisper of courage and tragedy, reminding us that freedom and dignity are sometimes bought at the highest price. Masada stones do not merely preserve history, they challenge us to consider the cost of conviction. Qumran, stones that guarded secrets. On the edge of the Dead Sea lies Qumran, where in 1947 Bedouin shepherds discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls hidden in caves. These manuscripts, preserved in clay jars, transformed our understanding of Judaism and the roots of Christianity. The ruins of Qumran reveal a community devoted to ritual purity and anticipation of a messianic age. Their stone-built halls, cisterns, and scriptoriums show a disciplined, almost monastic life. The scrolls they left behind, biblical texts, commentaries, hymns, survived 2 millennia because of the silence of stone. In this case, the stones were guardians, protecting words that would bridge past and present. They remind us that ideas, like stones, can endure beyond the rise and fall of kingdoms. Caesarea, empire in stone. If Jerusalem and Masada reflect the Jewish story, Caesarea embodies the Roman chapter of Israel's history. Built by Herod the Great as a port city, Caesarea was a marvel of engineering, with aqueducts, amphitheaters, and temples carved from stone. The harbor, constructed with hydraulic concrete, was one of the largest in the ancient world. Roman mosaics and marble columns testified to imperial grandeur. Later, Christian theologians such as Origen and Eusebius studied here, shaping theology that would ripple across Europe and beyond. Though today Caesarea lies in ruins, its stones still reveal the ambition of empire. They remind us that power may be temporary, but the marks it leaves endure. Megiddo, stones of prophecy. The ancient city of Megiddo, layered with the ruins of over 20 settlements, was a key crossroads in antiquity. Its strategic importance made it the site of countless battles, and in the book of Revelation, it became the symbolic stage for the final battle, Armageddon. Archaeologists uncovering Megiddo stones have found Canaanite temples, Israelite gates, and vast water systems carved deep into rock. Each layer tells of a civilization rising, flourishing, and falling. Megiddo's stones embody cycles of history, reminding us that humanity often repeats its struggles. For believers, these stones also carry a prophetic weight, suggesting that history is not random but part of a divine narrative. Acre, Crusaders in stone. Along Israel's northern coast lies Acre Akko, a city layered with crusader halls, Ottoman fortresses, and vibrant markets. Acre was once the stronghold of the Knights Hospitaller, who carved vast vaulted halls beneath the city. Its stones resonate with the clash of swords, the chants of monks, and the roar of the sea. Later, Ottoman rulers reinforced Acre's walls, making it strong enough to withstand Napoleon's siege in 1799. The city's stones thus bear the scars of both medieval zeal and modern ambition. To walk through Acre's subterranean halls is to feel history pressing down from every direction. Its stones are not relics, they are living walls, still housing a community that has endured through centuries of change. Galilee, humble stones of faith. Unlike the monumental stones of Jerusalem or Masada, the Galilee is marked by simple, rural stones. Here, Jesus lived, taught, and healed. The Basilica of the Annunciation in Nazareth, built over stone foundations of ancient houses, commemorates the angel Gabriel's message to Mary. On the shores of the Sea of Galilee, churches mark the places of the Sermon on the Mount and the feeding of the multitudes. The Galilee stones are humble, fishermen's houses, village streets, synagogues. Yet in their humility lies their power. They remind us that faith often begins not in palaces or fortresses, but in ordinary places, among ordinary people. The Negev, desert stones of trade. Far south lies the Negev Desert, where the Nabateans carved cities such as Avdat, Shivta, and Mamshet. Masters of the incense route, the Nabateans built caravanserais, temples, and churches from desert stone. Though the desert seems barren, their stone-built cities thrived on trade, linking Arabia to the Mediterranean. The ruins today, arches, cisterns, and fortresses, testify to human ingenuity in the harshest landscapes. These stones remind us that even in desolation, life and culture can flourish. They speak of adaptation, resilience, and the power of connection across cultures. The stones as witnesses. Taken together, these sites form a vast archive not of parchment or ink, but of rock and rubble. They are witnesses to cycles of conquest, devotion, and renewal. Unlike books, which can burn, or stories, which can fade, stones endure. They hold the memory of humanity's most desperate struggles and most exalted dreams. The stones of Israel embody contradictions, faith and doubt, grandeur and ruin, tragedy and triumph. They remind us that civilizations are temporary, but the human search for meaning never ends. Each generation adds its layer to the story, carving new marks into the same eternal rock. A living legacy. What makes Israel's stone legacy unique is that it is not confined to museums. These stones are part of living landscapes. People still pray at the Western Wall, still study the Dead Sea Scrolls, still walk the Crusader halls of Acre, still gather in churches of Galilee. Unlike ruins lost in deserts or jungles, Israel's stones are integrated into daily life. This continuity gives them a power beyond archaeology. They are not only records of the past, they are active participants in the present. They shape identity, inspire devotion, and remind humanity of its shared heritage. The search for meaning in stone. To walk in Israel is to walk in a story written not in ink, but in limestone, basalt, and marble. The stones of this land have been kissed by pilgrims, shattered by wars, hidden in caves, raised in temples, and carved into fortresses. They have endured longer than any kingdom or empire. These stones remind us of a profound truth. While civilizations rise and fall, the human search for meaning endures. Whether in the grandeur of Jerusalem's walls, the silence of Masada, the humility of Galilee, or the desolation of the Negev, each stone is part of humanity's legacy. A legacy carved in stone is not a relic of the past. It is a living dialogue with eternity. To touch these stones is to touch the heartbeat of history, and to be reminded that our own lives, too, are part of a story still being written. Thank you for joining us on this journey through wonders of Israel, where history was carved in stone. We've walked among ruins that whisper of empires, touched stones that witness prophets, and stood in places where faith and history converge. Israel's landscapes remind us that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the stories carved into its very foundations. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the world's timeless wonders. Until next time, keep seeking the echoes of history that continue to shape our present and future.